Okay, winged bowls. Several ways to do it. This is actually a fairly decent one. I'm going to start out with the bad one. I started doing, if I had a crotch, well, what do you do with crotches? Oh, you make a winged bowl. Well, I had a big crotch and big thing, and this monstrosity is what came out of it. It's the ugliest thing I've ever made. It's horrible. The dimensions are all wrong. It's too big a bowl with no wings, and yeah, no. This is firewood as far as I'm concerned. Anybody wants it, it's theirs. So then most of them are much smaller. This one was not a crotch, and I just rounded it out first before I started turning the wing part. Then you end up, you leave some of the crazy stuff because that's what people like. So this one's not too bad. Kind of the even slope there instead of doing the severe wings. This is another, what's left of a crotch. And the, stick in there. It's much better as far as not so deep. The bowl and the wings kind of match each other. I did on this one, cut it around because things were starting to peel off when I was making it originally. We had the wings sticking out here, and they kind of shattered on me. So this is one of the things this is a little more dangerous, or you got to pay a little bit more attention than doing a regular bowl. This is my favorite one, obviously a crotch. And I like the proportions on this. It's a little candy bowl. You left all sorts of bark on it. And it's even in a couple places where the chainsaw marks are still there. But it came out nice. I really like this one. But this is kind of what you aim for. However, the piece I've got on the lathe is just a chunk that's for demonstration purposes only. This one I'm going to pass around. The hardest part about doing the wing bowls is if you get the light on it right, you're going to notice that they're kind of ringlets every place where you take your chisel in. I've even scraped this a little bit and they're still there. So I'm going to pass this around. And that is the single hardest thing that I've found to do. Now, watch Batty do a demonstration up at Chicago on winged bowls, and of course he went and it was perfect, but I'm not perfect, so. All right, enough chit chat, I guess. I need to, this piece here was sitting in the shop for a while and it's gotten off center a little bit, so I need to first thing, just recenter this back from the back here. Take a couple seconds. I thought I was going to have that all prepped, and so you guys didn't have to sit through that, but it was off center. So, and the reason I'm doing that is I end up switching end to end a lot, and this is how I do it. This isn't necessarily how anybody else does it. But I put my chuck on at this stage, and I just leave it there because I'm going to switch back and forth, back and forth. So let me bring this up. And I know there are a lot of people that don't like one-way chucks, but it was the first chuck I ever owned, and I got really used to them. So, there's that. Okay. Now that we're there, I will, there's a couple little tricks here. You take some tape, and what you want to do is figure out the farthest anything sticks out. And you can, it's some sort of way to mark it. And I'll just put a piece of tape on the tool rest. So when I put my tool out here, I know that where my starting point is, so I'm not accidentally hitting things. I won't really need that for a little while. First thing I'm going to do is come in and round this out some, but I'm going to still leave it thick up front. And you'll see why here in a little bit. When I do this, I do stop the lathe a lot to find out exactly where I am and what I'm doing. And right now, I'm just, the back's the easy part. It's the other surface that is the hard part. I also, because I'm a bit wimpy, always turn the lathe off when I move my tool rest. Don't do that, Dave. Okay. I got too close to the end of my tool rest is what happened there. So, anyhow, at this point in time, I could do more cutting in, but I'm at this point in time, this is about how thick I want it to flip it around and do the other face. So, yeah, I could dig in a little bit more there, but yeah, I'm just gonna, for the sake of time here, not get perfectionist.
Is that a faceplate you have on this?
Yeah, this, start out with face plate. And I could have done a lot of this before I put the chuck on. Actually, probably would have been a smart thing to do. Yeah, do a faceplate. And you can actually mark whereabouts you want your bowl to start, so that when you're coming in to finish up your wing, you don't go any further than you have to. So. And I do this just kind of a safety thing. And when you're doing the wing things, you do a lot, I mean, you're supposed to anyhow, but you do a lot of spinning to make sure you're not hitting anything. Okay, so now when you start on this, you can do a back drag just to flatten things out some. But when you actually want to start cutting, you want to start on the outside and go in so that you've got a supported cut. That's kind of the weird part about all this. Right now, this is thick enough I can easily see the shadow. When it starts getting thinner, that's what the tape's for, because it starts getting a lot harder to see. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. So mostly flat. I got to do a little bit more here, get rid of some of that. I don't know if you notice it's starting to get a little thin here. And with that angle cut, there is a piece of scrap wood, so that's starting to get a little thin. I'll do a couple more. Actually, there's a technique here for doing this. Well, okay. Where you only go in about half, 3/4 of an inch, and then you thin in a little bit that way. Then you carry in. That way there's more wood left for support beyond where you go. So we'll give that a shot and see what happens. And you can really tell when you start getting into solid wood. I mean, the feel is different, the sound is different. And all those cracks that I filled with the C8 glue, they're there. So what I'm gonna, this is the next technique. Or thing to do. And I saw this on a YouTube video of a demonstration at a club, and I have no idea who it is, otherwise I'd give him credit. But what this guy liked to do is take some water and just spray it down a little bit. You don't have to get crazy with it, but the water gives you a little easier, cleaner cut when you're out in the thin stuff. At least that's what he claims, so we're going to find out. hit that little bit, I left a nice line right here. One of the things Stuart Batty said, and I fully agree with him, is at this point in time, when you start getting thin, it's scraper time. It's the only way you're going to get rid of these ridges when it's really thin like this, because this will start flexing on you a little bit, which is part of the reason I leave this thick.
I was just going to say, I got a question.
Yeah, sure.
And just only, I'll take this, because I've never seen this done before. I would think, in my mind, that it would make more sense to do that side first, while you got all the material on the backside supporting it.
Yeah,
right?
which is kind of what I'm doing here. I just did a little shaping in the back. I still had this much
Okay.
material back behind it, which is, you see a lot of these guys, they'll do the whole back and then they'll come in and do the front. I've struggled with that.
No, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I would think the front would be the one that you'd want to hit first, while you got all the rigidity into the damn
Right.
board.
Fully agree,
And
that's
and
what,
then do the backside.
yeah. That's why I'm kind of doing it the way I am. I do the back a little bit like this, so I kind of have an idea of where my bowl's gonna be.
Sure.
And we're gonna go back and switch it around again. And I'm going to go up into here more. But once I get this on, I don't like taking it off, because the centering thing, as you know, if you take it off at some point in time, you're never gonna get back perfectly. So this is kind of flipping it back and forth. And this is just a little finer cutting tool. Now, on the back side, once again, you're still doing it just like you're doing a bowl. You start in the middle and come out to the edge. I think you probably noticed a couple little chunks came off on me there. This is not a great piece of wood. The other thing is you really want to, especially when you're out here, try to rub the bevel as much as you possibly can. Because you dig in it all, things start flying off. I'm not going to take off a lot more out here at the very edge, just because I'm getting some sharp points. And I'll do more digging in here then.
What RPM are you running?
I think it's about 1,200. When you're doing the wing, speed is your friend. The faster you go, especially when you're doing the front face, the smoother and the better things are going to be. So I'm gonna do just a touch more out here, and then I'm gonna cut in here, and then we'll flip it around, do the bowl part.
Mario Andretti says, if you're comfortable with the speed, go faster.
Whoops. Considering the piece of wood, Horvath, I'm gonna, you can do, this was a very sloped, easy, OG kind of slope. Typically, I like to do the much steeper kind of, I don't even know if that's showing on the camera. So I'm going to end up about halfway in between with this one. I'm going to take a little bit more out in here and then leave this outer wing alone. One more cut with that, then I'll scrape it just a hair, and then we'll turn it around. Okay. Now you definitely, when I was doing that, when the tools was about right here, I could feel that it's gotten thinner out here and it bulks up a little bit right there. But when I got to about here, I could actually feel the wood flexing a little bit. With the scraper, it's not a huge deal. If you're still using a gouge, be very gentle. I was making a big bowl, and I had shavings up to my ankles, and my wedding ring slipped off. Ooh. Took me 2 hours to find it.
You get a new light quicker than.
Yeah, well, that's a possibility. Okay, so at this point in time, undo this so I don't forget. You definitely want to know where your bowl is. I'm just going to kind of go right in where this is. It'll be a good place. Like I said, this is not going to get saved, so. Go back to big boy. And if I'm running out of time, let me know and I can quit anytime. The other thing right now, This is actually kind of the dangerous part because you're done with the wing and you've relaxed a little bit. You gotta remember it's still there. Keep your hand on that side of the tool rest and don't get your arm and elbow around there. This is the couple times I've not hurt myself, but the couple times where I've, run into the wing, this is now when I did it. Time to see how deep I am. He can go make calipers and do all the other stuff. I just line up along the edge, put my thumb there and go like that, and don't really want to go a whole lot deeper. Good time to stop there. I do have a tendency to leave my bottoms thicker than you're supposed to. But, and this isn't sloped right. I'm just doing it. I'm going to do another 20 seconds of scraping and I'm calling it done. And pass it around and you see, oh, okay. This is not a good piece of wood. That's my excuse that I'm sticking with it. I need to quit before it breaks apart on me. Okay.
Is it better to use wetter wood or dry wood?
Yeah, wetter wood is a whole lot easier. And actually, if it's really wet and you know it's going to warp on you, if you get this thin enough, you can actually constrain. Really thin, wet wood will dry however you want it to, so you could literally clamp it down to a surface or something and it would conform. This is an incredibly dry, old piece of wood, probably been sitting around for 10 years. So, yeah, if you're going to try it first couple times up, yeah, I'd go with fairly wet, just so you get a feel for things. It is going to warp on you because you go an awful lot from really thin to fairly thick on this stuff. Now, if you get really good at this, you can probably get a lot of thicknesses close to the same, and then it's not going to be so bad. But